Hello everyone, today we are going to discuss about cardiac glycosides and the plants behind are the plants from which we get cardiac glycosides, right? So what is cardiac glycosides? These are glycosidic drugs having cardiac inotropic property. The inotropic property refers to the contraction property, okay? The important thing you have to keep in your mind is they increase myocardial contractility and output. It is the most important thing about cardiac glycosides. And cardiac glycosides are found in several plants and also in torch skin. If it is found in torch skin, we call it as bufotoxin. The very important digoxin is found in Digitalis lanata, and there is also another important plant called Digitalis purpurae. So this is the plant Digitalis lanata. If you zoom that flower like cone, you get the second picture. The flower looks like this, okay? So cardiac glycosides, under cardiac glycosides we are going to see pharmacological actions, pharmacokinetics, adverse effects, contraindications, interactions, uses. If you have been asked of any essay of a drug, of any drug, you have to write these 6 headings in your essay, okay? Of any drug, you have to write these 6 headings. So today we are going to discuss about pharmacological actions alone, okay? So under pharmacological actions, we have heart, blood vessel, kidney and CNS. We are going to see each topic separately in detail. So in heart, it has myocardial contractility and electrophysiological property. It increases force of contraction. Failing heart, not in normal heart, in failing heart, because the failing heart lose their capacity to contract, no? So there it increases the force of contraction. And the other things are systole and diastole. They both are shortened and prolonged respectively. You have to keep this in mind. S for S, systole is shortened and the other diastole is prolonged, okay? Cardiac output is increased, we know that already in the definition. And end diastolic volume is reduced while the heart rate is decreased, okay? Systole, diastole, end diastolic volume is reduced and heart rate is decreased. These things you have to keep in your mind, okay? And also the resting membrane potential is decreased, and AV last is see the last point, AV conduction is slowed. And what happens to the depolarization? Rate of zero phase depolarization is reduced while the slope, that is rate, this is slope, okay? The slope of phase 4 depolarization is increased, okay? There is also ECG changes. See the second and third point, the PR interval is increased while the QT interval is shortened. Two intervals, PR and QT. PR is increased while QT is shortened. And the last point is a segment, ST segment, that is depressed, while the first point, amplitude or inversion of T wave is decreased. Two intervals, one segment and one wave. T wave is, amplitude is decreased. So we completed heart. So next is blood vessel. Let's see what is happening in blood vessel because of cardiac glycosides. So in blood vessels, digoxin has weak direct vasoconstrictor action. Of course, it has vasoconstrictor action, but it is weak. So what happens in normal individual and congestive heart failure patients? Congestive heart failure patients, circulation is improved, while for us, like normal individuals, peripheral resistance is increased. And what happens to congestive heart failure patients? Systolic BP may increase for them and diastolic BP may fall, but here in normal individuals, no prominent effect on BP. The important thing you have to keep in your mind is congestive heart failure patients, okay, circulation is improved and systolic BP may increase and diastolic BP may fall. And here for normal individuals, we have no effect on BP, and for us peripheral resistance is increased, okay? That is the difference between normal individuals and congestive heart failure patients. So we completed heart, blood vessel, and the two remaining is kidney and CNS. Let's see what is happening in kidney. Digoxin causes diuresis in congestive heart failure patients. See the last point, no diuresis in normal individuals. Okay, only in congestive heart failure patients there is diuresis and not in normal individuals. And digoxin causes diuresis in congestive heart failure patients secondary to improvement in circulation and renal perfusion. We know there will be improvement in circulation, there is also improvement in renal perfusion. This is also very important. And the retained salt and water is gradually excreted. Okay, these are the important points you have to keep in your mind: diuresis, renal perfusion improvement, and the excretion of retained salt and water. And the other thing is no diuresis in normal individuals. Okay, but there is diuresis in congestive heart failure patients. Very easy and very important, you have to keep in your mind. Okay, so we completed kidney, heart and blood vessel. Next we are going to CNS. What happens in CNS? Okay, so in CNS, digoxin has little apparent CNS effect in therapeutic doses. If it is the therapeutic dose, there is only little effect. But if it is higher, it causes chemoreceptor trigger zone activation, which causes nausea. Guys, the nausea spelling is NAUSEA. It was wrong. Okay, nausea, and it also causes vomiting. Okay, CTZ, chemoreceptor trigger zone activation. So other effects are hyperapnea, central sympathetic stimulation, mental confusion, disorientation and visual disturbances. So guys, we complete our pharmacological actions of cardiac glycosides. The others are pharmacokinetics, adverse effects, contraindications, interactions and uses, which we will discuss in our next video. Okay. So question of the day, what happens to systolic BP when congestive heart failure patient is given digoxin? I hope you all know the answer. Just leave the answer in the comment section. Okay.